Hey, Saji. Welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, you all have Sonatas, the empty room, the dead end, the poet, the crone, the siren, the mystic, the ocean, and the river. Sagis. I feel like there's just this idea of how do I, like, pulling away and contemplating how do I take all of the bad and turn it into something beautiful, right? Because you can, it's always possible, right? Like, but I think really needing to sit with it and go over the information at hand because it's almost like again with this like the what was the math one to read last time I was following, but like the crone is this idea of like you've been through the cycles enough, right? You have the mother, maiden, the crone. And the crone is the finals of three, and it's just kind of like an acquired wealth of knowledge, an acquired wealth of emotional intelligence, an acquired wealth of like what, like you've been through it enough times to know, and because you've been through it enough times to know, you are able to find the beauty in the bad. But I feel like the challenge is that you are sorting through all of the bad presently, trying to find where the good is so that you can turn the pain into beauty. Because I feel like there's an idea here of if you don't figure it out, you're going to miss the opportunity to the siren is the idea of like um you can't not go for the siren unless you like tie your hands to the mast, right? Like it's such a strong calling that you can't not go toward it. And I feel like there you just feel very strongly called toward something that embodies like a high level of like intuitive knowledge. And if you're trying to reach a high level of intuitive knowledge so that you can take your pain and turn it to beauty in order to not miss out on an opportunity that I think you feel like will bring you a great deal of balance. I really hope that it's the new person, Sag, is not the old person. Okay. Whew, Saggy. What else can we get for y'all? Thanks of Wands. New beginnings. Okay, that's good. New communities. You're striving towards something new. I think you have gone through, coming recently out of a very exhausting, strenuous phase, I'll say, in life, because it feels like it feels like it lasted for a while, right? Like this wasn't a couple of months, like this might have been a couple of years, where you just really were like in this state of darkness. Take it how it resonates. Obviously, Sagittarius, you can be on either side of the story, and like time is fluid. So a couple of years for some, like maybe 6 months for others, but it just feels like there's an extended period of time where you've been in kind of a dark state, and in this dark state, you've kind of felt like you've lost a little bit of your value. Like, where is my value at? And if I'm a part of the equation, who am I in the equation? And if I know who I am in the equation, how can I take that equation and apply it to something healthy and happy? Bringing justice by finding balance in new beginnings. I mean, balance is a really big here. And Sagittarius, I feel like there's almost this idea of like crossing a wire. Like that's the image that comes through in my mind. Is you feel like a little bit like they're on a tightrope. And you're just like one foot in front of the other, in front of the other, in front of the other. But fuck, can I go any faster? Because if I don't, I'm not gonna make it. toward what it is that I really, really want, that I really think is going to bring me a lot of balance. A friend of mine always says, whenever she's trying to practice gratitude, the idea of like, yes to this and more, please, thank you. You know, and it's kind of like, okay, yes, I like this or better, this or better, this or better, right? And it's like, okay, like if I know that I want this or better, I feel like maybe just acknowledge the fact that like what's meant for you will be for you. I just want to like, you know, what's meant for you will be for you. But I feel like you have a high level of anxiety because you've just come out of this really negative state. And I feel like you want to go towards something that seems very healthy and very happy and very, you know, optimistic and something that will bring a great deal of balance to you. And yet, I think there's a part of you that feels like, will I even be able to present this in a way that would be temperance again? Whew. In a way that would be, maybe if there's an idea that you feel like you're afraid of losing something, you know, like, well, if I even say anything, will it make it worse? I feel like that's your fear. Maybe it's not, well, it depends on my Saggies, because you could be at any place and time of this story, but it's just kind of the idea of like, once you really come out of the bad and you're able to really sit with it, then you have to kind of digest, like, where's the good in it all? You know, and it could be that it's because you've had to, like, I feel like there's an element of sacrifice involved here. For some of my Saggies, I feel like there's an idea of like, if you haven't struggled with addiction and you have friends who struggle with addiction who, you know, like hold you back in that, there's this idea of like, okay, I know that if I'm really going to like go for what it is that I want, then I'm going to have to part ways with these people. For other of my Saggies, it could be one of those things where you're like, I know that I've come through all of this and I really want to say this, but I'm afraid, you know, like, will it mess up our friendship if I say something? You know, like, will this ruin everything? Like the balance that we have, you know, because I mean, temperance twice and the ocean. I mean, this is just like an obscene amount of balance that I feel like you've come out of a really tumultuous situation, and so I want to say that like being in this person's presence to you is almost like calming the storm inside. And and for some of you, there's this fear that if you don't make the right decisions, that you're not going to ever experience that level of calm and balance ever again. You know, which sounds very, very like dramatic, and yet you have the river, and the river is simply the fear of missing out, watching your opportunity pass you by, and knowing that you have the means to do what it is that you need to do to go for it, but being too afraid to do it because it requires a level of sacrifice. But that sacrifice will create justice and allow you the opportunity to go towards your new beginning and your new community. Okay, strategies. Well, I'm happy that it's this and not, you know, any of the other stuff that you've been dealing with. You're on the upside. Yay! Progress, movement. Okay, Six of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Cups. You know, Sadie, again, you could be on either side of the fence, take what resonates and leave the rest. But I do feel like, you know, with the siren and temperance, it's and the idea of like feeling like you've just come out of this place of recovery. You know, like are you equipped enough to do this? You know, to like, I want to say, I mean, in this deck, this is kind of the idea of like stealing from Peter to give to Paul. And I kind of want to say there's this idea of, well, you've been stealing from Paul to give to Peter, and that was pretty shitty. And now it's almost like now you have to wait. You've been stealing from Peter to give to Paul, and now Paul is like, well, I want my money back, and it's like you have to take it back from Paul. That feels really convoluted. Sorry, I don't. This is what's coming through, but I feel like you get what I'm trying to say. It's just kind of this idea of like you sold a lot of people short, or a lot of people sold you short. Take it how it resonates, Sadie. But it's kind of like this idea of like you sold a lot of people short, and like gave that to people who didn't really deserve it. Now, if you have somebody who deserves it, and they say that's like you can come along, but in order to do that, like I'm not fucking with that energy. I'm not fucking with those people. Like you gotta leave that shit at the door. Then all these people are gonna be like, well, you're just taking from us to give to them, and it's like, well, but like, have you not been taking from people who earned to give to people who are lazy? You know what I mean? And now people who are lazy want to say, don't give it to the people who earned it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of this, I feel like this like battle that you've been in that you're coming out of that's like making you feel a little bit like I don't even know if I have what it takes to go for this. I don't even know if I deserve to go for this. And I want to say Sagi's like it's just in a like in a coddling moment of like nurture, you know, like sometimes you're not at the level that you need to be at. But if you don't ever like you never if you're the smartest person in the room, you're the wrong one in the room. You're in the wrong room. You don't want to surround yourself with people who are beneath you in intelligence, emotional, mental, whatever, spiritual. You want to surround yourself with the giants, the greats, right? Because those are the people who are going to get you to the level that you seek to be at. So you're not always, in fact, you don't want to be the best in the room. It's like the worst case scenario. So, you know, just keep that in mind, right? Okay, Saggies. Well, I feel like it's pretty straightforward read. I don't think I did a final pull for the Leos or Aries. Sorry, guys. We'll do one more card for Saggies and we'll call it a read. The Forest, yeah. Because I feel like you just like you need to go into someplace new, and I feel like there's this idea of like the only way to get there is to really like part ways with the nasties. Find the beauty in the pain. And trust that justice will be presented to you. If you're willing to, I want to say just like make the sacrifices necessary. But if you are willing to sacrifice the good people for the bad ones, why would you not be willing to sacrifice the bad ones for the good ones? And I say good and bad, and that sounds very like either or, because no one is ever all good or all bad, right? We embody different traits, but we do have a choice about the type of energy that we fit in. We do have a choice about the information that we expose ourselves to, the energy that we consume. You know, we have choices on all of those things. And if you've been really out of balance in one direction, it's probably in your best interest to, you know, like realign that balance by going toward the light. And if you feel like you don't deserve it, do it anyways because you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. The second you are, you become like the most limited person in the room. And if you want to live a life of limitation, go for it. You know, if it feeds your ego and it makes you feel like, oh, look at me, you know, but if you don't, then, you know, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you know, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, you know, because the rest of them are just going to drag you down. That's my PSA for today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. If this resonates with you, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. I am doing personal reads now. If you'd be interested in scheduling a personal read with me, please click in the link in the description box below. If this is where we part ways, thank you so much for spending some time with me, and I hope that you'll have a wonderful week. Bye.